Alright, hello Guild Wars 2 gamers. Today is Monday, July 14th. We've got some Guild Wars 2 news. We have got the final of the 9 class teasers, as well as my own speculations for how all of these are going to fit into the 9 classes as they are, which will all get blown out of the water tomorrow once the expansion announcement happens. So really quick catch up for anyone who's been living under a rock. Guild Wars 2 has announced a new expansion coming out in, I believe, October. Tomorrow, at the time of recording this, so on July 15th, they are announcing what the expansion is. I would expect some sort of trailer. I would expect a list of the things that are going to make Guild Wars great again. A list of things that make it, something desirable to purchase. And then probably, they'll be taking pre-orders or something like that. In the past, like when new expansion comes out, they'll be like, oh, there'll be a new way of getting the sky scale. There'll be a new way of getting legendary armor, stuff like that. So they typically try to show you the best features up front to try to, get you interested in buying it. So we can expect to probably see what all 9 of these classes with some rough, description of what they do tomorrow. All right. That said, let's focus on today. We've got a new icon. It's a shield. Sure looks like a shield to me. Although some people disagree with me. Some folks think it's a new Ranger pet. I do not share that opinion. So we've got a new shield here, and it's got 4 little grooves or slots on the shield. Now, I'm going to, of course, share my thoughts, as well as some thoughts of some others that have thrown their ideas into the pot, and then how I think this is going to work. One, let's first talk what core classes have access to shield, or who has access to shield already. There's 2 possibilities. 1, it's a shield in the literal sense, and 2, it's a shield in the metaphorical sense. So let's first focus on literal and see what our brains can come up with. Who has shield already? Warrior, Guardian, Revenant, Engineer, Mesmer. However, Revenant and Mesmer have the shield with elite specs, and it is possible that you might get the new expansion and not have access to the old elite specs that came with those shields. So let's throw those out the window. Warrior, Guardian, and Engineer are what is remaining. Now, we are 99% sure that Warrior is Paragon, but we don't know which icon is Paragon. Those slots really got me thinking about a few pictures here. These are some old shields, some from fantasy, some from reality, that have slots on them. Those slots are used to basically, here's like a little sketch. You can have someone hold the shield and have a spear or a javelin type instrument going through the slot. And basically that allows you to sort of protect yourself while poking at the guy in front of you, or maybe brace yourself if you had a large shield, that you could kind of stick in the ground and have your spear going through it, and then maybe brace against incoming cavalry or something like that is the idea. And again, some of those ideas I pulled from history, some of those I pulled from fantasy, okay? Now, you could also use that slot, and you sometimes see this in games like Warhammer, for propping up a gun on it. You could have the shield, and then in that, notch on the top, you could have a gun, like a rifle or a shotgun or something, and then fire through that. So that gave me 2 thoughts. One was Paragon with spear and shield. The Paragon, historically, in the game's lore, would use a spear in one hand and a shield in the other. The other thought was pistol and shield, which of the classes I listed is Engineer. Engineer could possibly be holding the shield with a gun on that slot, and you'll be shooting through that while still keeping most of their body behind the cover of the shield. So again, I'm really, really focused on those slots there. The only one that makes less sense to me is Guardian. They do have shield, but they also have access to pistol, but only through expanded weapon proficiency. So I don't think it's Guardian. So I'm really leaning toward, again, if it's a literal shield and it's not a metaphorical one, if it's a literal shield, I think this is Warrior Engineer. I think this is a Warrior with short spear and shield, or Engineer with pistol shield. Now, what if it's a metaphorical shield? What do I mean by that? What if this shield is just a symbol of a class and not necessarily like the weapon it's focused on? Then what do we got? Maybe it's a shield in MMOs often refers to a tank spec. Excuse me. Hang on a sec. I'm going to drink of water. Okay, so it could just be representative of a tank spec, and might be someone who's really good at being on the front line. Now, in Guild Wars 2, any class can tank. Literally any of the 9 classes, as weird as it sounds, can be the tank, but there's so little content that needs one. Typically, the tank can, in MMOs, will maybe taunt foes. They'll hold aggro. They've got in games that have a threat meter, such as World of Warcraft, you have to keep your the aggression of the enemy on you higher than your allies. And you've got to keep the enemy, hitting you. You're getting hit. Maybe a healer's healing you, and the other people are DPS, and they're hitting the thing in the back and the sides. Now, in Guild Wars 2, our monsters are debatably a little bit smarter. They don't, if they see like an indestructible gnome in pigtails, they're like, well, I'm not going to hit you, I'm going to hit the other guys. They'll wander around and they'll hit anything they want, with some exception. Of the, I think, 28 raid bosses, I think 10 or so of them, give or take, I'm probably not exact on that, use a tank mechanic. Some of them just, there's no threat table. Some of them just go for the person with the highest toughness, which is kind of a dumb thing to do, but the others will just go for someone who interacted with a button. Like, there will be something in the room you click on, and then you're the tank. Unless you die, then the boss goes crazy. So in those fights, you can use a tank. But in the rest of the game, open world, dungeons, fractals, strikes, it's kind of everybody just play as smartly as you can. If it's hitting Bob, heal Bob, and everyone else hit the thing in the back. If it's hitting Ted, heal Ted, and everyone else hit it in the back. It's basically that. So what would a shield tank class, a protector, a defender, a shielder, what would that be in Guild Wars 2 if most of the stuff doesn't require aggro? Well, there is a provoke condition in the game that a few classes have short-term access to. It's a CC, and it forces enemies to attack you. There is no class that has excessive access to provoke. Maybe this class is getting access to provoke. Like a lot of it. That's a possibility. Also, maybe it just has a lot of like CC, like, shield bash the enemy and stagger them. And maybe every time you land a CC, it puts a bit of barrier on your team. Like you are shielding them in just a different sense. You're putting shields on them. Maybe it has a lot of access to Aegis. Guardian already does, and Guardian's icon is a shield with the Ankh symbol on it. I should have had that. Hold on. Guardian, let's see. Guild Wars 2 Guardian icon. Hang on just a second here. Where is... Hold on a sec. Perfect. Okay, so here's the Guardian thing. So we've got this symbol here. It's a shield that has like an Ankh type thing on it. Now, another thing, which this could be nothing, there's claw marks on this. What if this is supposed to be the Guardian shield, but the symbol's scratched off? All right? And my first thought, if we're chasing that line of logic, is the Oathbreaker Paladin from Dungeons & Dragons or Pathfinder. For those who have not played that, when you play a Paladin in either of those games, be it PC or like Baldur's Gate or pen and paper, you got to take an oath. And it's usually like, oh, I'm going to save the orphans, or I'm going to do good in the neighborhood, or I'll help grannies across the street, whatever. You have an oath of something that you're trying to uphold, and you got a major stick up your backside about this oath, okay? If you break it, you become an Oathbreaker Paladin. And some people will try to hunt you down for that because you've just, you've gone against the order. And there are people in charge of hunting down Oathbreakers. Maybe it's like that. Maybe it's like a guardian who went against the rules, and you're breaking a rule of some sort. I mean, the main thing is like guardians are not quite the same as paladins. Guardians just like people that have the skill can do it. It's not like so much a religious thing, but I don't know. It comes to mind. So I see this and I think a little bit about like Oathbreaker Paladins because of like maybe the Ankh is scratched off the shield, or maybe it's a metaphorical shield and it's a tank build for someone that wasn't previously able to have a tank build. So, I mean, like, I don't know, you put this thing on Elementalist and then he puts like, rock walls up in front of people to defend them. I don't know. Or if it is a shield in the physical sense, I think of Paragon with javelin and shield, or short spear and shield, or I think of engineer with pistol and shield. All of those are the ideas that came to my mind as I looked at this picture. Next thing is let's see. Hold on. Did I use all my things here? Oh, I had another image here. I couldn't find one from real life. I don't know if it was just from fantasy or not, but I found someone that was doing the gun and shield thing. This shield has like a section missing at the top right to prop your gun on. This is from like a Warhammer figure or something. But this helps it just illustrate the idea that I was explaining to you. So there was like, you know, spear shield, there was gun shield. That was just the Reddit post. Okay, so I mentioned all of that. Now, it was pointed out to me as I was discussing my ideas with chat that there actually is art of a similar shield in the game on a Paragon. Spear and shield. And it's got the little slots. So I think this further reinforces the idea that that could be Paragon. Like, there's a very much a that could be Paragon. Now, I could be wrong. This is all just fun guesstimating, right? We're all just guessing here. But I feel like it's a higher chance of being Paragon than the other stuff I've come up with so far. Okay, so another thing. Some people pointed out to me something, and I want to reread something from a recent blog post, okay? With our next expansion, we're taking the next step. Elite specs are making a return, this time designed to work together with the flexible build crafting system that we've been refining over the past few years. However, these new specializations won't come with dedicated weapons. Instead, each one introduces unique profession mechanics, a new trait line, utility skills, elite skill, healing skill, and distinct playstyles without locking you into specific weapon or equipment loadout. Now, we've mentioned the possibility of kits many times, where like a Bladesworn can use a kit to essentially just equip their gun saber, even though the gun saber is not an actual item in their inventory. Engineers do that with grenades, druids do it with astral form, firebrands do it with their tomes, stuff like that. They could very much add a kit of short spear and shield to a class if they want to, without actually giving them, a new weapon type. So do I think they're going to do that? I don't know, but the option is open to them, and they've done it many times before. Following that, just a couple of quick laughs. The mustache being the little bow there is fantastic work by Mr. Modius on the subreddit. And then there was another one here, and I did notice they added arrows right there along the chest for some reason. So we've got a lot of people with some various ideas of how this is going to go. But there is the shield, and like I said, I can see a world where this is multiple different things. I feel like it's Paragon the most. And so to follow that up, with this being the final teaser, with the help of Charmon and chat, we have prepared Necromance. Nice job, Charmon. We have prepared a little thing to kind of do some guesswork on who is getting what. Now, this is, of course, a guess. The only thing, I want to be very clear here, because there's so many whiners on the internet. The only thing we know is picture. All right? Everything else is guesswork. All of y'all that are getting uppity and like name calling each other and stuff like that, get the stick out of your behind. We're just having some fun guessing. That's it. Okay, let's see. What do we got here? So, my personal thoughts on who is getting what in this. Necromancer. We are 99% certain, 0.9, that Necromancer is getting Ritualist. So the question is, which icon is Ritualist? I think it's that one right there. I agree with many other people that that is a Ritualist dagger, not a Assassin's dagger. It impractical. Impractical. It looks like it is for some cultist sacrifice a goat type crap. I think that is supposed to be the Ritualist icon. That's my belief on that. If I'm wrong on that, then I believe that's the Ritualist icon because it looks like a twisted version of the Ritualist icon from Guild Wars 1. But I am going to put the dagger there for now. And since I believe that goes there, I believe the deck of cards is the thief. Because I thought the thief would either be one of these two. And since I'm locking in the dagger here, that leaves the deck of cards there for some sort of gambler build. I'm not sure what it does, but I think it's going to involve like gambling or luck, and I think that that's got to be Thief. I think it's got to be Thief. Next up, my own belief is I think the banjo, or the ukulele if you prefer, is the Mesmer. Heavily because I don't really know why Mesmer's associated with music. It doesn't make any sense to me, but when they're underwater, their underwater attacks fire like musical notes. They've got the virtuoso, which is a very musical theme. They have got, they had that April Fool's Day thing where they were told they were going to be minstrels, and then they said, just kidding, no, you're not. What's with the colors? I didn't make this. Someone else gave me the link to this tier maker. I didn't make it. Blue Necro, F's with my mind. I blame Charmant. All right, so I believe that Mesmer is getting barred, or whatever that is. Okay? All right. Of the remainder, I am locking my guess in that this is Paragon. I could be wrong. I could easily be wrong. And if I'm wrong, my follow-up guesses for Paragon are those two. I think it's one of those three. But I'm locking in the shield with the spear slots as being Paragon. Now, a lot of people saying, but the helmet has wings. Yes, but the Paragon helmets often had an open front because they were focused on shout builds. They weren't like, shake it off! You know, they had their mouths available to scream at people at any time. So I do not think that that's the helmet. I don't think it. Okay? Next up, simply because of the sharp edges and how twisted and all it looks, I actually think this is Revenant. I hope I'm wrong on this one, because it looks really cool and I want it. I'm Ranger. I want it. But I honestly think that's Revenant just because of how like sharp and kind of demonic the artwork looks on that one. So I am putting the jaw or whatever that thing is at Rev for now. But I'll be honest, I kind of hope it's right here. Next up, we do have this very pretty winged helmet. I'm putting it in Guardian. Again, I've mentioned this when we went over the helmet at the beginning. It very much reminds me of the Seraph. However, the Seraph were a human organization in Divinity's Reach. It'd be kind of weird for other races, especially Char, to become Seraph. And it could be something else entirely. But I'm putting my guess for the closed winged helmet as Guardian. I'm going to put that there. Next up, we got three things remaining here. One of them has a noticeable element on it. And it is what appears to be flames in the shape of a rabbit, like a hare or a fox. I'm putting this as Elementalist. I have maybe they summon, like, maybe it's a pet class. They summon a pet out of an element, you know? And maybe when they change elements, the pet would change with it, and it gets different skills and abilities. Maybe it looks kind of like a mask. Maybe it's a literal mask. Maybe they, just you put it on like Ichigo from, what, I started to say freaking One Piece. Yeah, I watch an anime or two from time to time. Maybe it's from like Ichigo and he would go hollow form, and in Bleach, there we go, the word escaped me. And maybe it just powers them up in some way. I don't know, like with Soul Beast merge. My Hero Academia. Yes, Ichigo is going to be the Pirate King. Next time on Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, I know. Yeah, fail. All right, so we got two left. We got this atomic-looking thing and a bow and arrow. Atomic-looking thing could be a lot of things. Again, this looks like a warped version of the Ritualist icon from Guild Wars 1. It also could just be, I mean, it's a ball. Elementalists love balls. Like, I've got it on good authority that they're crazy about balls. Like, friggin' like jade spheres and fireballs and water balls and mud balls, they love balls. Like, so this could very easily be Elementalists. Alright, so it could be Ellie. It could be a warped version of the Ritualist Guild Wars 1 icon. It could be a nuclear reactor. Nuclear engineer unlocked. They've harnessed the power of the atom. God have mercy on our souls. And that leaves the class that already has bow and arrow getting more bow and arrow. I hope I'm wrong on this one. I don't want this. I don't want more archery for my archer. He's got enough archery. Give me something else new and interesting. However, my guess is this. Now, maybe Revenant is going to channel Aiden, the archer from Guild Wars 1, and become a professional archer. And then we get the weird jaw thing. That's completely possible. You know, the Revenant's the wild card. Revenant could be channeling Saul Alessio and become a professional gambler. Revenant could channel Aiden. Revenant could channel a Master Bard. Revenant could channel a Ritualist from Guild Wars 1. They could just channel a dead fox, because why not? They could channel a professional tank. They could channel Heisenberg. You know, they could channel Gwen Thackeray, who was a Seraph. You know, this is it. This is it. Say Revenant gets everything. Just close it up. Revenant gets everything. This expansion is just like, oops, all Revenant cereal. That's it. That's the final guess. All right, but yeah, that's my guesses. I'm locking them in. Let me see if I can remember where I had all of these. Let's see. Ellie, Necro, Mesmer. No. This was here, and then that, and then that. Okay, so that is my guess. Now, again, some of these I'm pretty confident in. Others were process of, like, you know, elimination, and I hope I'm wrong on some of them, just because I'm a Ranger main, and I want something new and interesting. But, you know, luckily for all of you who disagree with me, I have no impact on balanced decisions. So that is my guesses. I'm locking them in, and we will find out tomorrow if I'm right or very, very wrong.